So today we are going to be refreshing ourselves on the periodic table and all the information that it contains. Periodic table is a very useful tool that we're going to be using almost every day in grade 10 chemistry. So just a bit of a history lesson on who we consider to be the father of the periodic table. It was Dmitry Mendeleev. He's the individual that actually recognized the patterns in the periodic table and decided how to sort the elements. There's a really interesting video on Mendeleev that if you were in my grade 9 class you saw last year. Its discovery is really quite fascinating. Mendeleev knew so much about the patterns within the periodic table. He was actually able to predict elements before they were even discovered. So if you have time, watch that short 10-minute video. It really goes to show the number of patterns that are embedded with the periodic table. The more we go through chemistry, every year I'm going to show you about new patterns that really help to support our learning. So a couple basics about the periodic table. Two numbers that are going to be very important to you this year. It's your atomic number and your mass number. Elements in the periodic table are technically arranged by increasing atomic number. So you can see the first element's number 1, hydrogen. Second element's number 2, helium. The atomic number is equal to the number of protons. So technically what defines what an element is its number of protons. Just a couple fun facts. The number of known elements is 118. This is constantly changing. We have 94 known elements, we have 94 natural elements, and we have a number of man-made elements. The periodic table is divided into 3 categories. We have metals are down here. If you notice, most of the periodic table is actually metals. We have nonmetals. Don't forget hydrogen over here is also a nonmetal. And then we have our metalloids along the staircase. Just a reminder that a metalloid is something that's got a mix of both metallic and non-metallic properties. In order for this class, we are actually going to sort into just metals and nonmetals. I'm going to show you in a second how to determine what's a nonmetal and what's a metal. Within the periodic table, we have something called families. Families are vertical groups. So just so you know what a vertical group is, a vertical group runs up and down. Families tend to have similar properties. So properties show a trend within families. For example, lithium, sodium, and potassium, they're all alkali metals and they have very similar properties. If you actually count, we have 1, 2, 3, all the way to 18 families. In chemistry, we're going to be focusing mostly on group 1, 2, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18. This middle part, these are the transition metals. We're going to talk about them briefly. This part down here, lanthanides and actinides, we're going to talk about that in grade 11 chemistry. Let's talk about some of the specific families that have really unique qualities. Let's talk about family 1, and those are those alkali metals. So this is lithium, sodium, potassium, down to francium. Alkali metals are soft and they are very highly reactive. This is because they only have 1 valence electron. So they're so reactive that they actually react chemically with water. If you take an alkali metal and you drop it in water, it will actually ignite. Family 2 is our alkaline earth metals. Our alkaline earth metals are light and reactive. They have 2 valence electrons. You can see they look a little bit different. They vary a bit more than the alkali metals. You have magnesium, beryllium, radium, barium. So they still all look like metals. They're shiny, they're lustrous, but they look a little bit different. Our next family is our halogens. This should actually say family 17, just so you can see that visually. 17. Halogens are a little bit different because halogens are very reactive, but they're nonmetals. So halogens are nonmetals. They're similar to alkali metals in the fact that they are reactive. They're all nonmetals, and they're actually very different. For example, we've got fluorine, which is this clear colorless gas. We have bromine, which is a liquid, and then we have iodine, which is a solid. So the halogens are very, very reactive, but they are very, very different in terms of physical properties and even state. Last group we're going to talk about is our noble gases. That's group 18. So to show you, 18. And they are considered to also be called the inert gases. Inert means non-reactive. So noble gases are actually the least reactive of all known elements. That's because they have a full valence shell. So we're going to remind you of what that means when we do Bohr-Rutherford diagrams next. But the fact that they have a full valence shell means that they're not very reactive and they tend to not form chemical compounds. We're going to look at when they do form chemical compounds in grade 12 chemistry. So our periods, or our families within the periodic table, are those columns. We also have horizontal rows in the periodic table. These elements do not have similar properties. So our horizontal rows go across here. That's called a period. They don't have the same physical properties. They don't really have much in common. If you take a look, we have 7 rows in the periodic table. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. These ones down here, again, the lanthanides and the actinides actually fit in the periodic table here. We're going to talk about this more in grade 11. So we don't really look at these in grade 11. Right now, we're going to focus on the top part of this periodic table. We're going to focus on these top 7 rows. So that's the end of our note. I do want to show you a couple more things for your periodic table. If you go to your D2L homepage and you scroll down here, you're going to see something that says periodic table. It's called a widget. It's like an app. If you click on it, it's going to bring you to this interactive periodic table. So what's nice about this periodic table is you can go ahead, you can zoom in. Nope. We're going to go to the other one. There we go. This is the one I wanted to show you. So what's nice about this periodic table is you can click the elements, you can zoom in, it's got all this information there for you, which is great. But what else is nice about this periodic table is you can actually sort by different categories. So if you want to look at groups, you can look at all group 1 elements, and it tells you a little bit about it as well too. So you go through all your group 1 elements, those are those alkali metals, so it allows you to focus on just groups. What also is really neat is it allows you to focus on metals and nonmetals. So it's going to be really important for you to understand the difference between a metal and a nonmetal. So if you're not sure if something is a metal, you can click on this, metals, and it shows you all of the metals in the periodic table. You can also click on nonmetals, and that's going to show you all the nonmetals. So later on, you have to know confidently whether or not you're looking at a metal or a nonmetal. This is a great tool that's going to help you with that. That's the periodic table. You should always have it handy, and we'll continue our grade 9 review next.